The world is going through changes. Changes happening at a speed that we have never seen before. This is leading to disruption, chaos, panic, fear, hysteria, and a turbulent economy and marketplace. How do you protect your wealth in a turbulent world? How do you invest for cash flow in alternative assets to escape the rat race in times of uncertainty? How do you decentralize yourself, your family, your community, your business, and your investments to become sovereign and escape the matrix? If you are looking for strategies, tactics, and techniques to escape the rat race and matrix, you are in the right place. My name is MC Lobsher, and this is Cashflow Ninja. This is Cashflow Ninja. I'm MC Lobsher. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode and spending your most valuable resource, your time, once again with me. Everything Cashflow Ninja is at cashflowninja.com. There's podcasts, books, reports, webinars, and much, much more. And don't forget to sign up for the #1 newsletter in the alternative wealth strategy and alternative asset investing space, the Wealth Dojo, at cashflowninja.com/subscribe. I've got a fantastic show for you today. I'm joined by Dave Wolcott with Pantheon Investments. Dave, great to see you.
Always great to see you, MC, and appreciate the opportunity to connect.
Now, for folks that are not familiar with Dave Wolcott and Pantheon Investments, we've done a number of episodes together over the years. We've known each other for quite a while. It's been an incredible journey. So I would highly recommend you go to cashflowninja.com and check out the previous episodes we did. Dave always brings tremendous value every single time we have a conversation. So just go to cashflowninja.com and just type in Dave Wolcott. But for new viewers and listeners that's not familiar with you and what you're up to, Dave, can you just give a little bit, share a little bit of your background and journey with them?
Yeah, absolutely, MC. So, I really can relate to your audience, MC. And the reason is because, I started my journey as an LP investor myself. Back in 2000, after I took the purple pill and really got into the game, started investing in alternative assets, everything from single family, multifamily, raw land, oil and gas, retail, and spent about 2 decades doing that. I encapsulated that in my book called The Holistic Wealth Strategy, really to try to help other people, shortcut and really have a blueprint for, how the top 1% are really building wealth and what that actually looks like, right? So, that's what we're on. We're on this journey really to help people kind of decode the wealth strategy secrets of the ultra wealthy so that they can really live that life that they've always dreamed of, right? And having a true framework to be able to do that.
And on this journey, the importance of having the right team in place is factored in pretty heavily. Can you speak to just the importance of having a team and having a very, very strong team of advisors around you?
100%. Well, in phase 3 of the holistic wealth strategy, it's all about creating a dream team. Right. And, if anyone out there has read Dan Sullivan's book, Who Not How, you'll realize the importance and the value of getting, great mentors, great coaches, or experts in their field that really understand things better than you ever will. Right. And that's how we can get shortcuts. We can get intellectual shortcuts to move to the next level. And so when it came to, my wealth game, right, I was trying to create this dream team around me. So let's talk about asset protection, for instance, right? It took me years to identify the right asset protection attorney that understood how a business owner thinks, how an investor, a accredited investor investing in alternative assets, how they really think, how they should be positioned, and really understanding those, unique unique exposure that you might have, unique situation to kind of create that, right? So getting, say, an asset protection attorney on your team, right? Having a high performance doctor, a functional medicine doctor, for instance, on your team that's really proactively working with you on your health, so that as you're investing in yourself, your number one greatest asset, right? How can you, outperform, right, with yourself, right? So, I would encourage listeners to think about right now, if you could put down on a piece of paper, right, what are the top five teammates that you have on your dream team, and think about, on this wealth journey, we've got health is a huge part of it because we believe in holistic health. We believe in things like asset protection, risk management, and insurance comes into play because we're not only growing our wealth, we're trying to protect our wealth as well. And we're thinking about also good financial planning, right? Which is, having a planner who actually understands, not only traditional investments in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, but understands the private world and getting into private assets, private equity, and things like that. So, and that's really what led us to creating our own virtual family office to be able to survive, serve our clients better in that holistic way.
Now, you've mentioned the holistic wealth strategy, and I'm very excited to get more into the team and the virtual family office structure that you've created. Before we jump into that, can you share more about just give the overview of the holistic wealth strategy for listeners and viewers that might not have heard it?
Sure. So it's a really simple 5-phase framework, right, for thinking about your wealth. And it's all underpinned by creating your vision. The first thing you do when you go on a road trip, MC, right? It's you punch in the GPS coordinates to where it is you're heading, right? And oftentimes in life, we're just kind of pulled back by all these things we've got going on, and we don't spend enough time creating that vision for ourselves. And if you don't have a target, you're just going to miss every time. So getting crystal clear clarity on what that vision is for yourself is really foundational. Then we move into phase one, which is all around mindset, right? How can you actually create goals, habits, remove limiting beliefs, right? And invest in yourself in having a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset to take you closer to your goals. And phase two, we then move into building up your IQ, right? A lot of people didn't even realize that there's opportunities that you talk about on your show every week until they start improving their financial IQ, right? So reading books, listening to podcasts, looking at YouTube, and understanding, all these different types of opportunities that are available so people can become better investors, right? So that is really key on the improving your IQ as well. Phase three, we talked about creating a dream team. And then here, we also want to create infrastructure around your wealth. So again, creating a fortress around your wealth to protect what it is that you've built. Looking at things like having a proactive tax strategy, because taxes are your number one biggest expense, right? So how can you actually proactively work on those taxes? Have a tax advisor who's on your team to kind of help you get there. And so that should be part of your overall infrastructure plan. And then in phase four, we move into asset repositioning, which this is all about basically taking lower yielding assets and moving them into higher yielding assets, and also reducing your risk at the same time. And just as an example, we have, right, people are making, let's say, an average of a 7% return in 401ks and qualified plans. Well, we have a current opportunity that invests in merchant cash advances. So really doing lending to small businesses that's doing almost 3 times that return that you could get in your average 401k. Right. So simply just moving that will compress the amount of time you can get to your goals, like significantly faster. right? So we always want to look at re-optimizing those assets that you have. And then finally, phase 5, which is the fun one, is all about building massive passive income. So creating multiple passive income streams through different types of investments, right? That can weather the storm, right? You don't have as much, say, interest rate risk. You're looking at things in different types of asset classes, different return profiles, different operators, right? And so creating that really 100-year portfolio for yourself through all of those passive income streams.
Now, back to the team aspect of that, and business and investing are team sports, and that's why I love both of these games. And we talked about a family office and a virtual family office, the VFO, that you just created. Can you share with my listeners and viewers that might not be familiar with family offices, what a family office is, how they operate and work, and then where does what is a virtual family office, and what's
So, in my 20 years of really studying this and spending time with centimillionaire communities, ultra high net worth communities, and family offices themselves, really a family office is, typically reserved for someone with 100 million and net worth. And they're trying to build a dedicated team of advisors around them that are full time on staff. You're supporting payroll for them, but they're working every day on your tax strategy. They're working every day on your asset protection planning. They might be working on lifestyle and administration, right? Because people hit a certain net worth, you've got, maybe hundreds of different entities that you're trying to manage and keep all of those straight. And of course, families are growing. So there's a lifestyle component as well, right? How can you manage the families, things like that? Certainly legacy planning. Estate planning is really key to that. So how can we pass on other things to future generations, not just money, creating a family constitution, right? Creating family values, setting up a family bank, right? What is the governance around doing all this? And, I would say that in my experience, no two family offices are the same. Everyone kind of has their same, version. And you might find one that, for instance, they have a philanthropic bent to investing in agriculture because that's where they made their money, or they had some type of social impact that's driving them there. So they're all a little bit different. But what I've realized is that, people shouldn't need to have $100 million to really be thinking about this. At MC, it all really starts with, how you define wealth and how you think about wealth. And so for us, that's what aligns really well with, our holistic wealth strategy and a family office is it's all around the different forms of capital. And so we're often taught that financial capital is the only thing there is, right? We're trying to get money, but there's other forms of capital. There's intellectual capital, there's human capital, there's physical capital, there's emotional capital, and spiritual capital, right? So how are we kind of, creating these different dimensions for families and for people to really think about these things so that they can really, I think, move closer towards consciousness and self-actualization and really creating impact, in the world. And even if you have $3 million in net worth, you can still be thinking this way, right? And so what we've tried to do is really democratize this and create a very cost-effective, flexible manner where you can access, top-notch vetted resources that can provide all of these things whenever you're ready. Let's say you don't need an asset protection plan right now. Well, that's fine. You don't need to engage with them, but you could in 3 years. We have that who completely for you that is going to completely set you up right, at that time, right? So having this team that's already there for you, you can engage with them in a flexible manner, but you're getting that concrete vision in place for where you want to go with your family. And what we often see as well is that there's a lot of blind spots people have. I'm 54. I mean, if something were to happen to me, my family knows exactly who my team is, how to contact them, where our assets are. everything in case, something should happen, right? We find oftentimes that's one of the biggest things that people miss. And it's actually really simple, right? Just having a directive in place, should there be a loss or death in the family, right? That's really key. So I think trying to avoid some of those blind spots is really key. And another thing is that, a lot of, entrepreneurs, investors, as they scale their wealth, what happens is you hit this ceiling of complexity where you just can't do it all. You're managing multiple, tracking so many different investments, so many different, entities that you have in place. So trying to, simplify that complexity, have someone on your team there, and someone on your team that can also say, hey, I'm going to pick up the phone and call the tax advisor, right? And make sure that we're still compliant when we do this investment, because it's part of your asset allocation strategy. That's really huge, right? Having a quarterback that really can speak on your behalf and is really, moving you down the court a lot forward, even if you're not involved.
My new book, Get Wealthy for Sure, the number one financial strategy for business owners to multiply wealth predictably, just hit number one on Amazon. So Get Wealthy for Sure is an Amazon number one bestseller. In this book, you'll learn the wealth building secrets that the ultra rich have used for over 170 years. You'll learn how to create your own banking system using a dividend paying whole life insurance policy, allowing you to finance your business growth, invest in lucrative opportunities, and build generational wealth, all tax free and protected from market volatility. You'll also learn the proven strategies used by icons like Walt Disney, the Rockefellers, and top CEOs to grow their empires and get wealthy for sure. You'll learn how to build a team of expert financial professionals, implement tax efficient strategies, and protect your assets from creditors. You'll also learn the power of thinking like the wealthy and aligning your capital for maximum impact so you can take control of your financial destiny. I also share a step by step aligned capital strategy that will guide you to a life of certainty, clarity, and predictability without falling victim to misinformation or settling for the status quo. If you want to get a free copy of my book, Get Wealthy for Sure, and only pay the shipping and handling, you could go to getwealthyforsure.com. That's getwealthyforsure.com. So just to summarize there, a family office is sort of like a private wealth firm, specifically looking after a specific family. And they have all the advisors under one roof, working together in tandem. They all are on the same page, all moving the ball in the same direction down the field for the family. Because at $100 million of net worth, a lot of zeros, a mistake where your estate, attorney doesn't talk to your tax attorney or your tax advisor or tax strategist, and there's a disconnect, there's a lot of zeros associated with that mistake, right? So everybody's on the same page. And I like with this virtual family office that, people that don't necessarily have $100 million of net worth, they can utilize a similar model where there is already advisors that understand exactly the strategy, which you've shared, the holistic wealth strategy, all working together and moving the ball down the field in the right direction for someone that just wants to plug into a structure like this, right?
Absolutely. I really think of it as like we're really redefining wealth, and it should be wealth 2.0. And I know you think in a similar fashion, right? You think in holistically, and these things are important, for you, for your family, for multiple generations, all of these different things. But again, all of us weren't really taught financial education anywhere. We had to self-learn this through, books like Kiyosaki has and great podcasts and things like that. And so we're just exposed to really education. Most of it is coming out of Wall Street, telling us that we should work with a traditional financial planner. But the shortcoming there is that, they're not incentivized to really support your goals, right? Because they're working on this assets under management plan, which says that, all of the, decisions that they're making are to support their product portfolio. Right. And if they say, okay, sure, I'll give you a referral to an asset protection attorney, I can guarantee you it's not going to be someone who's, completely aligned to some of the things you want to do. And also the other thing that's huge here, MC, is, I know your listeners are very sophisticated, right, in investing in lots of different assets. Well, traditional financial planners, again, if you want to tell them that you want to invest in, let's say, a coffee crop in Costa Rica or in a self-storage facility, right? They're going to tell you it's risky, it's a bad idea, and they have no way to actually support it. The tax advisor actually doesn't even have, we've had so many investors on oil and gas opportunities where their CPAs come back and say, well, they don't even know how to take the active losses and offset the active losses, and we have to correct the CPAs. So it's really key to have people who just understand this language and this world that we're in.
Yeah, because I think, and my listeners and viewers might be listening to my show or to other shows, and then they would hear something that a particular professional, let's just say in asset protection, that he's speaking about asset protection, and they go, okay, this sounds fantastic. I need to speak with them. And then maybe they listen to another show and they find a tax professional and they go, oh, this person sounds like they know what they're doing. I want to explore working with them, and they reach out to them separately. But again, even in the alternative asset world, as you know, you can reach out to different professionals. They're all still not on the same page because they don't understand what's part of the strategy. So I think the big concept here is you got to bring it all together in one strategy, because if you have one-off sessions, let's sit down with an asset protection guy and then an estate planning guy, and then with a tax person, they might again have very different ideas and approaches and give different advice, and it might not necessarily jive with one another to help you in what you're trying to accomplish, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, if you go back to that example, right, of, getting into your car for a road trip and setting the coordinates, right? If you're 1 degree off, right, and you start tracking that 1 degree off and you're literally going across the country, that 1 degree is going to be a lot by the time you get closer to your destination, right? So it's the same thing that we want to think about with our wealth, right? Is just creating this, overarching strategy and really understand where it is that we're going, so that you can be in alignment in all of these different dimensions of your wealth journey, so you don't get off track.
The virtual family office and the structure. Who is this for? Who is this not for? Who are the folks that should be thinking, okay, something like this is something to at least look at and explore, and versus folks that they're not quite ready yet. There might be there in a couple of years, right? But that's down the line.
I would say definitely people who are entrepreneurs, business owners, or accredited investors, right, who are building significant wealth outside of Wall Street, and really have a big vision for themselves, right? They are trying to create a legacy for themselves and try to do things. And I think, it's less really about some type of net worth threshold, really. It's more about where are you headed, right? Because if you're on a strong trajectory, it couldn't be more important than ever, right, to get everything in alignment up front for the journey.
And what should be the expectations of that people should have of a virtual family office? Can you peel back the curtain a little bit and share a little bit more of what happens? How does it work? What's the process like?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way we work is, we do have a financial planner on staff who's very familiar, again, with not only traditional type investments, right, but also private equity, private investments, and looking at asset allocation type decisions and everything. So there's a big component of financial management, but our clients will have a monthly call where they basically would meet with the advisor to walk through things that are important at that juncture. And so, let's say you've got a client who's, making an exit from a business. The priority there is going to be a lot of tax planning, asset allocation decisions, right? And so that's going to take precedence. If you don't have anything that's really of high urgency that you're working on, the first 12 months of our program literally go through all kinds of different things. The estate planning piece, we walk through the asset protection piece. So every month, there's a new component that you'll be working on to actually build out that entire infrastructure, and then connecting you with the right advisors when the time is right to be able to do that, right? So that way, again, you're always moving the ball forward in the entire strategy.
So they're in communication and in touch, and they track it. And can you speak to some of the technology that you've incorporated in this, if you guys are using any in this process?
Yes, actually, we have developed a product that's exclusive to our VFO and mastermind members who can basically track their entire wealth. They can do forecasting and modeling around passive income, looking at net worth projections, understanding tax deferred liabilities as it relates to that, doing goal planning. And a variety of different things because you can't improve what you don't measure, right? So having that type of reporting, analytics, and dashboarding around that is really crucial. And a client can really at any different time, just pull up that dashboard and that software and be able to see where you are, where you're going. How can we improve this, and constantly kind of work on that. So yeah, that is the focal piece with which we communicate.
It's a game changer, the technology and the AI, right, in the financial services and the financial space, and even in the alternative asset investing world. It's just quite incredible to see all of the things that are happening.
Well, there's such a huge gap there, MC, and probably, a great example is, if you want to lose weight, right? I mean, you need to track, right? Calories in, calories out, and you need to get on a scale, right? And if you're not doing that, it's just simply you're going to not be able to, track your performance. You can't really improve your performance, but especially when it comes to this alternative world that I know, we live in, and a lot of your listeners, it's, how do you track these different syndications, right? They have different profiles to them. They have all kinds of, different metrics, different components, things like that. So how do we track our different syndications? How does that fit into, let's say, traditional investments like 401ks, and IRAs? How does that sit into there? And then also, how does that map to our entire wealth strategy, right? Because we have this overall kind of 100-year thesis, right, with where we're going, where we want our wealth to go. And if you're not understanding that you've got a big tax liability coming up in 4 years and how you're going to offset that, you've got, potentially a minefield coming up, right? So you need to be looking at all of these different things. And so rather than creating hundreds of spreadsheets, because that's what I've done for the past 25 years, so we're trying to really simplify this for people.
You know what I find fascinating too is this technology, the AI, especially when it comes to Wall Street. It's been around for a while there with all of the, high frequency trading and robo trading and so forth. And I really thought, when I started to see the technology being rolled out and used by big investment banks with all these AIs, I mean, people don't know this before they buy and sell shares on the stock exchanges. There's already algorithms to track that and, buy it and sell it to you before you in just a fraction of a second, making a profit. So you've had that technology for a while. I just find it fascinating that hasn't rolled out through the financial services sector, where you now have technology managing portfolios of individuals, right? The big investment banks has kind of kept it to themselves. So it's just fascinating to see with people like you in the alternative asset space already bringing this to individuals, this type of technology. And those folks are hoarding it at the big banks at Wall Street, right?
Well, it's all about following the money, right? So Wall Street definitely has an agenda. And that's why all of these products that are there to support it, if you look at these things like Wealthfront and all those things, it all supports that model of having assets under management with a certain advisor. So that's what they're going to show you. They're not going to be able, you're not going to be able to bolt in your real estate portfolio and show how much passive income you have, right? They don't really care about that. They don't value that. Whereas, us who are sophisticated investors understand that your balance sheet, having cash flowing assets, right? Having multiple income streams, right? That's extremely valuable, right? That is really what your net worth should actually be on.
What are you seeing in the alternative asset investing space?
Yeah, sure. I think one of the biggest things most people are missing, MC, is really, again, kind of having this really 100-year view, right? In a lot of family offices, they're making investment decisions to invest for the next 25 years. Okay. And so that's going to go through multiple presidential election cycles. There's going to be many geopolitical events that happen. Interest rates are going to rise, they're going to fall again, right? So you've got all of these different cycles. So, how can we insulate ourselves from all of these things that are happening in the world, right? And be smarter, more sophisticated investors rather than investing on that next opportunity that because it's that shiny next object, or my friend said that was a great opportunity, or I've got to get into crypto right now because it's on a bull run, right? And you really have to understand the psychology of investing. And one big thing I learned from my friend Charlie Garcia, who runs R360's Centimillionaire Group, is he said the most important characteristic to have as an investor and person is actually self-awareness, right? So really understanding yourself, because most of us get caught in these cycles, these emotional cycles of, buying when there's a bull run, right? Selling when things drop, and we can never really time the market. So if you do the hard work and create this strategy for yourself and create processes and systems around what types of asset classes you're looking for, what type of portfolio allocation do you want to be in? Do you want to have, let's say, 30% of your portfolio in multifamily real estate, for instance? Well, I'm going to set a target to that and then work within that model and plug in opportunities to that, versus just saying, whoa, I just got a new passive income opportunity to invest in crypto and that looks great. Well, no, that's going to take you off of your plan. So really creating I think that plan and that wealth strategy overall is really good. And then, yes, to your point, where are we seeing opportunities? What's good? We've been extremely cautious in the real estate sector, given, interest rates. We think there's going to be a great time to buy maybe in the next 12 months. And so we're looking for that. Right now, we've been following a trend that's been proving out really well, which is investing in merchant cash advances, which is essentially lending or doing factoring and providing funding for small businesses. And this alternative lending space has an over 20% growth rates for over the last 15 years, as banks are not able to lend to small businesses who need capital to grow, non-correlated to the markets, and then diversified across 15 different industries. And then we only take small positions in each given loan, right? Which can be further collateralized. So that is something that a lot of billionaires are investing in. They're investing in private credit, merchant cash advances. That's the fixed income bucket that they're looking for. Taxes aren't going away. That's a certainty. So can we get something for reducing our taxes? And again, I know most of your investors understand that you can offset active income by investing in oil and gas. And we've learned a lot about investing in the sector. I was actually invited to the Energy Council just in June this year and met with all the top leadership of Exxon, ConocoPhillips, everything. And there's a huge demand for all of the AI that you were talking about, and the energy demands that are coming from that are just huge. We cannot keep up with that. So I love the macroeconomic fundamentals where demand is really high for energy. And doesn't matter what industry you're in, where you are in the world, we're going to continue to see, that type of equation. So we want to be on the right side of that.
What are some of the things that you're keeping an eye on from a macro perspective, and then also probably in different markets as an investor as this year plays out?
Yeah, I think there's three things, MC. It's interest rates, it's inflation, and then it's also taxes. And I say taxes with respect to what's going to happen with the upcoming election. And remember, it's not only a presidential election cycle, right? But you've got also the Senate and Congress that are going through some election periods as well, which is where a lot of the tax law is being written. In fact, we just had Tom Wheelwright was on our podcast just the other week. So talking about the potential $7 trillion in taxes that the Harris plan is Biden-Harris plan, has on the table right now. We'll see what happens with that. But there's some significant changes that investors should be aware of, like capital gains taxes. For instance, if you're selling a business or you're selling certain assets that should be coming up, we're keenly being aware of what's happening there. Again, from an interest rate perspective, let's see the Fed talked about 25 point cut here in September. So let's see if that actually materializes and see if that starts to slide. I think it's still going to take a little while until multifamily kind of starts to level off. Because some of those people who took on loans many years ago are still being kind of crushed by those heavy interest rates right now. So we're watching interest rates and, of course, inflation. And that's what, much of the, campaign, the debating is all around, is around inflation right now.
Dave, where can my listeners and viewers learn more about you? Where can they follow you, and where can they stay informed of all the many things that you're involved with, such as your VFO, the virtual family office?
Yeah, sure, MC. Yeah, if the best place to really start with us is you can get a free copy of the book at holisticwealthstrategy.com, and if you'd like to learn more about the family office, it's just holisticfamilyoffice.com.
Fantastic. Well, Dave, thank you so much for coming on the show, and again, as always, providing so much value for all of my listeners and viewers.
Thanks so much, MC. Really appreciate the opportunity.
And thank you to you, the listeners and viewers, for spending your most valuable resource, your time, once again with me on the show. Everything Cash Flow Ninja is at cashflowninja.com. And don't forget to sign up for our newsletter, The Wealth Dojo, the #1 newsletter in the alternative wealth strategy and alternative asset investing space. You can subscribe to the newsletter by going to cashflowninja.com/subscribe. Until next time, live infinitely. This presentation is for educational and informational purposes only. The information being presented and considered does not consider your particular financial objectives or situation, and it does not make personalized recommendations. This material is not intended to replace the advice of a qualified tax and legal advisor or other qualified professionals, and you should not use the information in place of a customized consultation with a licensed professional regarding your specific personal financial objectives, situation, and needs. We believe the information provided is reliable, but we do not guarantee its accuracy, timeliness, or completeness.